Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. And if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So today, we're back on, we're still on Ole Blue. We're working on sheet metal. Yesterday, we finally got to start welding on some sheet metal replacement parts here for the cab. And we got our cab mount support bracket in there. And this morning, we are going to go ahead and work on the floor pan. And with that, we also have another section of metal that had rusted that's not part of the floor pan, so we're going to have to make that ourselves out of some sheet metal. So we'll get started here. I'll reposition the camera so you can see what we got going on, and we'll get started. All right, so I'm going to lay this floor pan in here and kind of test fit it and show you what we got to do here. And what we've got is we got this section right here that's rusted through. So we're going to have to make a small section that will go in there, and we can cut this out and fit a new piece in there and get that back to where it needs to be. All right, so this is the piece I'm going to cut out, and I'm saving this little spot right here because this is where one of the holes was for a piece of trim that goes in here. I mean, it's probably not a big deal, but this piece of metal is solid anyway. So I want to save any bit of solid original metal that I can. And the piece that we're going to make will lap over here and then come and lap over and go down into the rocker panel. So that'll give us plenty of strength there. Fortunately, this is not a high traffic area, so you know, we do have that advantage. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece out, and then we'll get started on making our piece to go in here. So we're going to need that piece in here basically before we put our floor pan section in. So let's get this bit cut out here. Pilot hole there. Go ahead and flange our piece here. Flanging this section here because this piece is going to lap over and go down and weld through here. What we have here is a basic piece of 16 gauge sheet metal. I picked this up at Lowe's just for the sake of convenience, but I'm sure you can get it all different kind of places. And what we're doing is we're marking off where our flange line is and where our cut lines are, and then down here we're going to measure or mark our bend line and then our cut line, and then these two will intersect here, and we can use just a regular builder square to make that all line up. Now there is a slight, going to be a slight, ever so slight curvature here, but we can make that with a dolly and blocks, so I think we're good with that. Now we'll need to cut our piece out here. All right, so here's where we're going to get to use our sheet metal brake right back here. So I've cut a notch right here because this section here is flanged to meet up with the floor pan, and then this along this line here is going to be bent at a 90-degree angle to go overlap over that edge on the rocker panel. So let's go ahead and get this joker bent up here. All right, let's see how she fits. All right, let's get a tack weld going on in here to hold that in position. So now I'm going to go ahead and get a tack weld on this floor pan in a spot where I need it, because this floor pan is not quite right. So we're going to have to adjust it a wee bit. Let's get our welder going here. That should hold it in place while we make our adjustments. All right, so we're making some good progress here. We've got the floor pan just about all the way in. And as expected, it took a good bit of adjustment. What we're going to need to do, we ran into another bit of a problem where the rot in the cab went up a little bit further than what the replacement floor pan gives us. So we're going to need to make a piece of metal to fill this gap in here. Now the cool thing about that, and having the other donor truck here, or bits and pieces of what's left of it, I have the cab out there, so what I can do is that cab has plenty of good sheet metal still on it, so just maybe not in the same places. So we can get a piece of sheet metal that's the same gauge as this and cut it out of the cab and to make the piece that we need to weld in here. And what I did essentially was to make a template of, what we need to go in here and fill this spot in. And there's a contiguous piece of sheet metal on the back of the donor truck cab. So we're going to go out there and we're going to cut that piece out, and then once we have our piece, we can weld this in and fill it in, and then hopefully we'll be done with all the welding on the passenger side floor pan. So you can see here on the back side of the cab, we have a piece of good sheet metal that's not all rotted out, that's long enough to do what we need to do. So now I'll get in there with my little air saw and cut that piece out, and we'll be good to go. And there we have it. We have our piece of metal that we need. Go right in there and fill in what we need to fill in. Now we're good to go. Okie dokie. So now we have our floor pan in, and I'll just go ahead and kind of zoom the camera in for you here so you can get a look at it. And you can see got the seam sealer around, and once that seam sealer dries, then I can shoot it with a primer coat and really that's all we're going to have to do, because all this is all going to be covered in Dynamat, so we don't have to waste resources in there. So we realized this a significant cost savings by not having to buy a piece of sheet metal to make up that part where the floor pan didn't cover. That was kind of a bummer that the rot went that far up the tunnel, but it is what it is. And so pretty much, you know, this side is done in the front. The next video we'll be doing the cab corner, but that's probably going to be next weekend. So anyhow, so appreciate you watching, and please subscribe if you like what you see, and of course feel free to comment. Welcome all your comments. If you're better at body work than I am, which you probably are, then you see me do something stupid, call me out on it. It's okay. I won't be offended. And but I think I got it right. I did a lot of research before going into this project, so, and helps having some friends in the body business, so I can always call them up and ask if I run into a question. But I'm just kind of expanding my horizons here on this project, I think it's going to be a heck of a truck when we get done with it. So again, feel free to comment, or you can also reach me at MacGyversWorkshop@gmail.com, and usually I can get back to you. And stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.